Good morning, everybody. Mark Finan here in the home weather office on this Wednesday morning. Yeah, it's Wednesday, the 4th day of September 2024. This is the morning briefing. Always gets a little confusing with that Monday holiday. I know, retired, and I'm still confused about holidays. But also, when you're retired, it's also tougher to figure out what day it is. It is Wednesday. It's the 4th day of September. A lot of things to talk about this morning. We are going to be talking about fires, smoke, heat, and rain. I was thinking about, James Taylor. I've seen fire, I've seen rain. Yeah, there's maybe a chance of rain next week. More on that in just a second. First, let's start off with the fires and smoke that are going on. 3 fires that we're looking at. We've been talking about the coffee pot fire, which is down here, not putting up a lot of smoke this morning. There's also this fire down here. I'll find out the name on this one in a minute. It just escapes me. This one just kind of blew up yesterday. It's in a remote area, but it's up to 8,000 acres. And then, of course, we have the Bear Fire burning up in here. And just look at all this residual smoke that came up from late yesterday afternoon and this evening that's just kind of drifting over the area right now. So the combined 3 fires we're going to have to keep an eye on because of what it'll do to our air quality. And while these fires down south right now, this morning, don't look like they're all that big, we'll have to look at this afternoon to see how much activity there is once we get into the prime window of burning between, let's say, about noon and 5 o'clock to see how big these 2 fires get. And with this general south and southeasterly flow we have, how much of that smoke eventually ends up over the Sacramento Valley and farther north. The smoke from the Bear Fire, well, this morning has been drifting a little bit more to the west. Later on this afternoon, it'll go back to the east off toward Pyramid Lake. So let's talk a little bit about these fires. So let's go over to Watch Duty. Watch Duty is a great app. You can put it on your phone or your desktop or whatever. So here's the fire that I couldn't remember the name of. The name of this one is the Boone Fire. Up to 8,000 acres right now. This is burning in a relatively remote area here. And let me just scooch this over just a little bit. And it started here along Highway 198 and then spread rather quickly. And what you're looking at here, the terrain it's burning in, it's pretty rugged terrain that's a mixture of grass and brush. It's not like it's big forest here, but it's now 8,500 acres. And it's this sort of fire that can burn a lot of acres in a short period of time because it isn't tall timber. But the good thing here is that this is all remote area. There aren't any residences out here. There aren't any towns out in here. This is all very, very rural area that's to the west of Coalinga. There's Coalinga right there. Let's go a little bit farther to the east. Talk about the coffee pot fire. And here's Coffee Pot, now up to 12,700 acres. And this fire, there are evacuations for this fire, and this one's just been kind of smoldering along. This one is in more dense terrain, hilly terrain with bigger forest in this area, and this one has all the indications of burning for a while. Whereas the Boone Fire might have a chance of getting put out in more rapidly. And then let's go a little even farther to the north to the Bear Fire. Bear Fire now is up to just under 3,000 acres. It's funny, they mapped it this morning at 2,947.48 acres. I've never seen a fire that accurately mapped, 0.48. So here's the footprint of it, and this too is also burning in that kind of terrain that's more grassy. As you can see here, as I zoom in on this, you can see that's all just grass and brush. So this too, with any sort of wind, just kind of moves along very quickly. The concern here is keeping it south of this subdivision, and then Loyalton's right up in here. So that's the town of Loyalton there. So the concern here is trying to keep it out of this subdivision. And then you can see as I zoom in here that these are all the homes that they're concerned about that are just on the north side of where that fire has burned. it looks to me, and I haven't been there, so I don't really know, but it looks to me as though what we're going to see is it's spread out in this direction, and they've probably laid down a lot of retardant on this side of it so that it doesn't slop over and go into that subdivision. So there's probably a lot of manpower in this area making sure that it doesn't go that way, and then if it goes farther to the east and burns out into here, there aren't any communities out in here. But again, we're just going to have to keep an eye on all three of those because of how much smoke is going to be coming off of those and how that may impact our air quality. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the big picture and what's happening here with the 500 millibar chart. And we have this kind of odd-looking ridge in here right now. And with temperatures today, well, yesterday downtown Sacramento hit 100. The preliminary report yesterday was 99, but then it went to 100. And today will be hotter than that, probably something in the 105 range. And then on Thursday, that's probably going to be the hottest day, something around the 105, 106 range probably. And then Friday, and especially Friday night with this little wave going by, Friday will probably still be at least around 103, but we'll likely see the onshore breeze come up Friday night and make the weekend more comfortable. Now beyond that, now I'm going to go out into fantasy land here. Not so much here. This is nice troughing for early next week. That's a good pattern to keep temperatures in a comfortable range. But this most recent run, now this is the 6Z run of the GFS, makes the trough next week a little bit deeper, and that would even bring a chance of rain, and that is next Wednesday, Thursday. I'll show you that here in just a second. That is our chance of rain next week. But consider that the yesterday's runs weren't showing this as much, but today's run did, or does, and beyond that there's more troughing. One other little feature I'm going to point out here is now we're getting well out into fantasy land. We're out onto the 14th of the month, and this would be a Pacific hurricane going past Cabo, falling apart as a tropical storm, and then a wave that would then come up into Arizona and bringing them rain, which often happens at this time of year. So let's show you the chance of rain here. This is the way the GFS shows next week. And so here comes that little trough. This is Tuesday night. This is Wednesday morning of next week, so a week away. And then this is Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday night. Kind of a weakening wave that brings a chance of rain for next week. So for those of you that are roofing contractors, just pay attention to the forecast for next week to make sure you don't have an open roof just in case this thing does come through. Now, as that goes by, we see more comfortable weather. And then here comes that wave into Arizona and brings that rain there. So that's another thing to watch. At this point, it doesn't look as though that would be impacting Northern California, but sometimes you get some rain in Southern California out of these, but probably not a case like what we saw last year with that remnants of that hurricane that came up. Actually, it was a tropical storm by the time it got into California last year. So that's everything I've got for you this morning. A couple of hot days coming up. That 103, 105, 106 range, with Thursday being the hottest day. Cooler by the weekend, so if you have outdoor plans for this weekend, it should be back to being very comfortable. And also with that flow turning more from the southwest and increasing as we get into the weekend, that should also help to keep any smoke from those three fires away from the areas like Sacramento, Roseville, and Grass Valley. So that's everything I've got for you this morning on this Wednesday. Make it a great day. I'll talk with you later.